Evening, folks. Brad here, Geomagnetic Earth Watch on Monday, April 17, 2023 on our planet. Hope you're all well. So some of you enjoy my little talks that I have. So let's have one, shall we? And it's about the weakest link in your unit, your family unit. You are only as strong as your weakest link. This sort of reminds me of when I went through boot camp in the Canadian Armed Forces a few centuries ago. I don't know about you people, but in Canada we had to go through 3 months of basic training, then 5 months combat arms training for a total of 8 months. And anyway, at the end of the boot camp, we had to do the assault course. We had to go a very, very steep hill. Now, my time was the winter time, full pack weapons, everything. However, our NCOs told us that we had to do it by ourselves. We had to get up by ourselves, which really contradicted our training and who we are as Canadians. And if the buddy next to you was a weaker person than you, of course you're going to help him get to the top. You're not going to leave him alone. You give him some of your strength to help him get to the top. Anyway, the mentally enslaved who cannot think critically for themselves, who don't want to know the truth and the reality which will soon fall upon them, make them ignorant, adding to the weakness of the unit, the family unit, and a self-risk to themselves and the family. And a lot of them, they can't unlearn the what they've been told, the lies, and they choose to remain hidden in their closet. Excuse me for a minute. And their perceived truths and illusions become shattered. They're threatened, but they remain programmed and conditioned from all the lies, the deceptions, the government narratives. And some people, you just can't unwrap them from that. They're cocooned in it. They don't want to come out. As for the remaining few of us who are awake and wise, we seek knowledge and truth beyond the ignorance, deception and lies. Yet still our chances of survival are only as weak as the weakest link. Now, some people ask very prominent YouTubers, at what age do you tell your children about the upcoming Earth cataclysms? He never speaks of the events to happen before an end-time event. I don't follow his particular end-time version. And he cannot answer that question. I can. Because the timeline I see is not his. Anyway, I have a soon-to-be 15-year-old daughter. She has ASD, autistic spectrum disorder, on the higher end of the spectrum. When I have some of these talks, she's right next to me. My other videos, earthquakes and things like that, she's right here. Now, long before I started Geomagnetic Earthwatch, long before the situation in Ukraine, the rumors of wars in Taiwan, the threat of nuclear war, she had nightmares of these events that did come years ago. She's already known what's going to be happening. And in her own state of mind, not just because of her ASD, she wants nothing to do with society. She wants to escape it. But I still don't hide things from her. And if you feel your children are too young or you're too weak, then you need to start teaching them other things like life skills. Teach them how to grow. Teach them how to cook food. Teach them first aid. Because as you age and wither away, you need to build that link in strength to help you and to help themselves. There's my answer. Maybe it's just because I'm hard ass. Because the weak links aren't going to make it. Now, for the very few rest of us who can think critically and spiritually, people, we now have to live in a state, a mindset of preparedness 24/7. Whether it's the music in the background I'm playing or your practical preparations, you got to keep it in your mindset. Now, we can only do what we can within our means financially and physically, and don't give me any excuses, because I have degenerative disc disease of the spine, severe arthritis of the knees, the hips, my hands, and everywhere else throughout my dusty old bag of bones and body. About 5:30 in the morning, I'm still getting up and I'm going outside after my daily checks of the computer and my cup of coffee, and I'm still doing my work in the garden, greenhouses, fruit trees, and all that, because I recognize that importance. However, I looked at Google Earth in my neighborhood. There's only 72 homes in my neighborhood. I have one of the smallest lots. It's only a quarter-acre lot, but I'm still making use of 1,000 square feet. You know who else is? No one. 71 homes are not doing it. One is. That's how many people are awake in my neighborhood. And I started 6 years ago. Now, at some point, you're going to separate from society, the system, and even some of your family members, not your immediate family members, but those outside of your immediate family unit. Remember, I said before, we're all on that multiple lane highway to a point of no return, to the Great Reset, the beast system. But I also said you have opportunities to look for those off-ramps. Get off that highway before that toll bridge closes behind you, because once it does, you can't get out. But that time is running out. Now, as I just said, society is not prepared in knowledge and life skills. Even such things as growing your own food, man. Time, knowledge, dedication, practical experience, equipment, supplies. And I'm not even talking about protecting your food from increased ultraviolet C radiation coming in, the chemtrails coming in, months and months at a time of consecutive cloud cover, no sun. You got to think of everything. You got to think about food preserving, canning. You have to think about all the little things. You into canning? I can. I also know what's coming. I know I have to be doing it long term. You have to calculate how many jars you need for a year. And then for the next 10 or 20 years, how many lids are you going to need? One-time use sealing lids. You're going to need thousands upon thousands upon thousands and thousands of lids. Do you have that many? Before they stop making them because they don't want people to preserve their own food. This is one example. Now, it's the 208-year anniversary of the Tambora eruption in Indonesia, April 10, 1815, which resulted in the following year without summer, 1816. A great many people died from famine. They didn't have Walmarts then. They didn't have food delivery service to their doors. And back then, a lot of people knew how to grow their own food. Many people died. Now, all you people making a big deal of that Russian volcano blowing up, posting all your SO2 pictures. Woohoo. You have no clue how bad it's going to get. The next one could be in your own backyard. Now, I've been watching our planet for the past 6 years. And I said since the very beginning, I don't get into fear porn. I don't get into exaggerated headlines. But folks, I'm telling you right now, I'm starting to be a little bit concerned. Because since those massive earthquakes in Turkey, something's changed dramatically down below. We're having a whole hell of a lot of deep earthquakes in locations where we never ever have deep earthquakes. We're having earthquakes in diverse places, yet not massive. And we're having a lot of heat indications coming up. And I'm not talking about just a little spot here and there. I'm talking about massive clusters everywhere. I showed you many examples. The coast of Norway, England, Scotland, Ireland, Cabo Verde, New Zealand, coast of Japan, Andaman Sea, and I haven't even showed you the South China Sea yet today. It's lighting up. Now, if our planet is indeed responding to a large incoming celestial body, both gravitational and electromagnetic, then these events are not going to go away. In fact, they're going to increase in severity and amplitude and numbers. Now, those of you who have done your homework and who are awake, we know that the governments have known for the past 40 years or so about the large celestial body coming in. They've known about the gravitational influence, ocean inundation. They've told us, except they have given us the false narrative, the cover story. Man-made global warming, CO2. We're responsible for sea level rise. They can't hide the fact that these things are going to happen, but they have to try and hide the true cause. And now I have to question why they're using the same narrative for or as the reason why we must stop growing food. Something is going to happen to our food system, but they can't tell us what. The only thing they're going to tell us is that we have to now start eating bowls of bugs. So what is it? Is our protective magnetosphere weakened so much to the point where we're going to have massive doses of ultraviolet C radiation coming in, which destroys our crops, alters its DNA? Or are we, for some reason, going to be losing a lot of our water? Cover stories. They had to come up with that a long time ago to explain what they won't be able to hide, which is the coastal inundation of the oceans coming in, or dramatic and violent weather events such as they are beginning to manifest. But one thing that nobody that I know of has ever seen on the internet is covering is all these deep earthquakes and all these diverse places and all the heat coming up. Now, getting back to the CO2 narrative, everybody, including the most prominent YouTubers, all of them, have fallen for the deception. All these people making their videos ridiculing, oh, they don't know, but they're talking about concentrations of CO2, and, oh, it's not man-made, global warming, blah, 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 blah. They've been fooled. You've all been fooled. You're all fools. Everybody ridiculing people like Al Gore and John Kerry. They're all part of the plan. They're all the actors. Stupid is knowing the truth, seeing the truth, but still believing the deception and the lies. So again, they give you the fact or the outcome. They tell you what is going to be happening. They can't tell you the truth, the reasons why. That's why they came up with the false narrative. I have been adamant that by 2025, a lot of what I say is going to be happening by 2025 is the next pandemic, is the next global cyber attack, grid down, solar flare. But I'm still covering the massive amount of heat coming up and the earthquakes and the deep earthquakes in a great many places. You do not have by 2025. And we don't know when the next grand event or where it's going to be. Tambora Toba again. Vesuvius, Campiflegra, or somewhere you've never even thought of before. Garibaldi in Vancouver, British Columbia. Central America, all those deep earthquakes. You got to start strengthening your weakest link in your unit. And for the ones who won't listen to you, maybe you got to work on their psychology, their psyche. Maybe you got to tell them that pretty soon something is going to happen and you will take steps to grab hold of that chain and get off that off-ramp.